What's cracking YouTube? It's Crypto NWO here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a quick browse on the deep and dark web to show you guys what's on the deep and dark web in May 2020, what's still working, what is new, what's active, what's the whole deep and dark web about if you're new to the channel. But I just wanted to quickly get started by telling you guys to subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel and put on the notification bell. Listen guys, I know that there's a lot of people that come watch the videos that have never ever subscribed or ever seen my videos before. They watch the videos, they truly enjoy it, they comment telling me something super nice about the video, but they don't subscribe. I just wanted to let you know that smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel really helps out your favorite content creators. It doesn't have to be me in general, but I just really want you guys to remember that for your favorite content creator. Just really support them. You know, these people spend hours upon hours upon hours editing, recording, uploading, doing their own videos. So maybe just smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel will just do them wonders, you know? I know, enough plugging. I also wanted to thank you for your time that you're spending with me here today. Without any further hesitation, let's go ahead and get this started. Level 1 of the deep and dark web. We're gonna talk about stuff that we have already kind of talked about on the channel, just to give you guys a fair little glimpse of what the deep and dark web is. The search engine that I'm going to be using to find all of these sites is Excavator. I don't recommend you guys using Excavator because there's a lot of shady links on here, but the reason why I use it is because it gives me back working links absolutely every single time, whatever you type in. So for example, the first one we're going to be talking about is Hitman. So finding a hitman on the deep and dark web, is it easy? Is it a scam? You let me know in the comment section down below what you think. But when you type in Hitman on Excavator, you're going to be given back countless results. Super Hitman, Hitman, Silent Hitman, Dark Web Hitman Reviews, Fury Hitman, Hitman. Basically, Hitman are everywhere on the deep and dark web. It's no surprise that you can find a Hitman on the deep and dark web. For example, any link that I click is going to bring me back a working link. There we go. The Loyal International Contract Killer. Home. Join my chat. The Hitman. Loyal for Hitman duties. Basically, take a look at the screen over here. This is what the deep and dark web is all about. It's just websites that look like this, websites that look like they were coded in 1996, only because like a lot of these people are independent programmers, creators, coders, whatever you want to call them, and these websites are very like independently created. You know, you don't have an entire team working on a website unless it's very successful. But a lot of the times, this is just some random dude sitting at home or in his mom's basement, just typing out and coding out an entire website, trying to scare people on the deep and dark web. Because like, look at this, the loyal tutanota@.com. Basically, Tutanota is a legitimate deepnet email. There's a bunch of deepnet emails. There's Proton mails, there's Mail to Tor, Tutanota, there's a whole bunch of them, but anybody can make an email. Their dog can make an email if they really wanted to. Finding a hitman on the deep and dark web, absolutely simple, really easy, but I think it's a really good way to get scammed on the deep and dark web. I don't think you should hire a hitman if that's what you are trying to do. I think in this day and age, it's impossible to get away with something like that, so just be a good civilian. Nowadays, you do something and you get caught, so don't trust this. You send any Bitcoin to any of these people, you're just gonna lose your Bitcoin. What do we know about Bitcoin transactions? We can't get them back. So please keep note of that for the rest of the time that you watch this video, because again, we can't get Bitcoin transactions back, and anything that we see here, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to think like, is it real? Is it fake? Is it just some guy sitting in his basement, or is it just legitimate? You always have to ask yourself these questions. So dark web hitman, easy thing to find on the deep and dark web. Is it a scam? Let me know. The next thing I want to talk about is money laundering on the deep and dark web. Now, money laundering, for the people that don't know, is people that make money through really illegal acts, and they gather this money, for example, selling drugs or hitman services or just a whole bunch of like mafia services. These people get all this illegal money, and then they have to make this money look legitimate. You can't just take this money and go buy a car and a house and everything. The bank's gonna ask questions. So for example, it's called laundering because they usually would open up a laundromat like back in the day, and they would be like, oh, my laundromat's making $10,000 a month, but it wasn't their laundromat that was making $10,000 a month. It was their services, their cartel or whatever they were running, their hitman services. If they were doing these shady things on the side and they were running this like whatever nonchalant business, they can just put on paper saying that this nonchalant business was making all this money and get themselves out of trouble legally. Once their money goes into their account from their laundromat, then basically they can take that money and go buy whatever they want, houses, cars, clothes, chains, whatever the heck they want. So that's what money laundering is. You can find a lot of that in the deep and dark web. The difference is you're not going to be opening up a company and like laundering your money there. You're going to be kind of taking a shot in the dark, because these are called mixing services. A mixing service is when you take your cryptocurrency, you take your Bitcoin, you send it to an address, and that address is going to basically send your money around to different addresses, spreading it around, making it harder to track your money, and then it sends it back to you basically. I don't think it's going to send it back to you. I've never ever laundered my money, so I can't tell you this. I just know what it is. I know what Bitcoin laundering is, but the money would come back to you, and in a sense, that money has been washed. clean money. For example, we're gonna open up Bitcoin Wash. Thanks to everyone who's used our service, we laundered over 700 Bitcoins to over 2,000 users. Launder a minimum of 0.01 Bitcoin. So basically they are asking you to launder a minimum of 91 US dollars, approximately 100 US dollars, a minimum. I think it's a scam because, you know, you send them $100, they just made $100 off of nothing. For everybody that types this in and wants to wash their Bitcoins, they're gonna fall for this, test it out with $100 and lose their $100. I'm not trying to slander a service that's on the deep and dark web. I just don't trust it with a 50-foot pole. Just to show you guys, just an example, they exist. The next thing I want to talk to you guys is about scams on the deep and dark web. Bitcoin scams on the deep and dark web. Why do I keep talking about Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is the native currency on the deep and dark web. It used to be, at least. Now people are using Monero, which is basically Bitcoin, but it's like Bitcoin's shady younger cousin that is a lot better and a lot more private and really untraceable. It's actually impossible to trace a Monero transaction that happens on the blockchain. I wanted to talk to you guys about Bitcoin scams, because a Bitcoin scam over here is where you press a button. Oh, look at this. I can swipe. Oh, wow. I'm gonna generate 1.2 Bitcoin. I just want you to know that 1.2 Bitcoin is $11,000. At the click of this button over here, I'm gonna generate $11,000. You tell me if it's a scam. What's the catch? I bet I have to send them just a little bit of money to help them get me this Bitcoin, right? This is somebody's random address. I hate get Bitcoin. Starting mining process. Connecting and validating Bitcoin address. Oh, I'm not connecting to anything. Exploiting. Oh, this guy's hacking my computer. Leave page. So basically, I don't trust it with a 50-foot pole. There's no possible way in the world where you can get $11,000 with a click of a button. It's no possible way. You gotta work to get money. It's just the economy we live in. If people would be handing out free money, by the way, you can't get 1.2 Bitcoin because there's actually a limit of Bitcoins that are in the world. These are for people that don't know these things. There is a limit of 21 million Bitcoins that'll ever be mined, and that's gonna happen in the year 2140, but there's currently 17 million coins, and they're all currently owned. So there's no possible way to get 1.2 Bitcoin for free. You have to get a mining farm. But anyways, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is stolen data. This one here is absolutely freaky for some people that, you know, have some of these services. Like, by the way, this is all alleged. I don't think this is legitimate. So I'm just going to show you guys these services over here. These are allegedly stolen accounts of these services over here at the press of a buy of a button. So if you're a part of any of these services, I don't know if you should be scared. I don't know if you shouldn't be scared. This is just whatever I'm finding on the deep and dark web. But look, there are all these accounts over here. For example, ge.tt or IXIGO, Roll20, House with 2 Zs, YouNow. I know YouNow because I have a friend that actually streams on YouNow. Petflow. There's Stronghold Kingdoms. Now, for example, we go look at YouNow and it says account number. There's 40 million accounts over here, 1.3 gigabytes full of compromised data, full names, IP addresses, email addresses, and social profiles. For example, we go to IXIGO, compromised data, passwords, MD5, full name, IP addresses, username, email addresses, and some passport numbers. That's absolutely freaky. And all of this for $936, less than $1,000. I don't know if you're gonna get this information if you pay for this information, but it's a really small, relatively small website called Dark Database over here on the deep and dark web. That's stolen data for you. You can easily find stolen data on the deep and dark web. I think it's absolutely freaky. We all know what it is. Let's say you have a like shady ex-girlfriend or boyfriend and you know, you just want to take a look into their account. Some people are gonna go hire a hacker. I don't think going on the deep and dark web is the right place to do this, because when you go on Excavator and you type in hackers on the deep and dark web, there is digital hackers, dark web hackers, professional hacking services, a whole bunch of them, and all of these links work, you know, because we're using Excavator. If we just hit dark web hackers, this random link over here that's called dark web hackers, basically showing themselves to the government. Look at this, remote control the phone of someone else, post new models supported. $700 US to get a remote control hold of someone else's phone, which is absolutely freaky. Facebook and Twitter account hacking for $500 US. You can, yes, that's right. Apparently you can hack Facebook for $500 US. Facebook is actually based off HackerOne. HackerOne uses their current methods to hack into Facebook, and then if they do breach into Facebook, they take all the data and they report it to Facebook so they can fix it. Basically, all I'm trying to say is that Facebook is currently unhackable unless you are a elite, super duper elite hacker. I don't believe this, but with a grain of salt. Let's take it with a grain of salt. Other social media accounts, blah, blah, blah. DDoS for protected websites for 1 month. A 1 month DDoS attack. $900 US. I don't know. His name is Vladimir. Hello, my name is Vladimir. I am the technical expert at Dark Web Hackers. My expertise is programming, running exploits, and setting up DDoS attacks. I like the challenge of doing things where most others give up. I can recover passwords of old social medias easily, remote control smartphones, and most other things that are useful because I spent years to find methods that really work. Here you can find a list of my services, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. But yes, of course, finding a dark web hacker, absolutely easy. All of these links over here are going to take us to them. So again, hacked PayPal account. By the way, falls under stolen data. Stealing PayPal accounts is stealing like data, stealing money, kind of like hacking. So look at this, basically a $500 PayPal transfer for 0.01, basically $100 for $500, $200 for $1,000. So basically after paying $200, you're gonna get a $1,000 PayPal account transferred to you, basically the login details to this account. That's freaky because once you log in, I believe PayPal is gonna trace your ass and arrest your ass, but I don't know, maybe you're taking the proper precautions, maybe not. Maybe this is a scam, maybe it's not, I don't know. But the next thing we're gonna find on the deep and dark web in the first level is obviously marketplaces. These are really, really bad. You know, the access to these places, and all you need is Bitcoin, which is an anonymous, kind of an anonymous currency. You can easily click any of these links over here. You watch, for example, White House 1. It's gonna open up this link, and this link is gonna open up a marketplace where you can buy from legitimate vendors that have legitimate reviews, actual services, or you know, drugs. I didn't want to say the word because, you know, YouTube. But yeah, these are all just like marketplaces that are on the deep and dark web. I'm not going to open any of them because it's going to show a bunch of illicit items in the background. I'm not trying to do that right now. So, and this website over here, Raptor, for example, it shows you a list of scammers, like websites that have actually scammed people. So like it warns people like, hey, don't go on this site. Empire Market. These are all people that have scammed on the Empire Market. If you get a scam, you basically report it to these people and then they list it as a scam. But everyone else that's not listed on here is supposedly a legitimate person that sells on the deep and dark web. That's a vendor on the deep and dark web. Anywhere there is money, there's gonna be sellers. You have to remember that. So if there's money on the deep and dark web, there is going to be sellers, 100%. Oh, okay, this one here is really, really, really bothersome for me. I'm actually not gonna show anything. I'm not gonna show anything, but I'm gonna be talking about a very touching subject. It is on the deep and dark web, so I thought I'd mention it just because I maybe raise more awareness to authorities about this so they can get it taken off. But there is a bunch of pictures of dead fetuses. I'm looking at them right now, and it's like the bottom half of the screen is a lot worse than the top half of the screen. So I'm looking at the top half of the screen. The top half of the screen is pretty freaking bad, but the bottom half of the screen is really worse. To be honest, I don't want to look at it anymore. I just kind of want to talk about it. But that's on the deep and dark web, and I just kind of want to I know it's really sickening that that's there, but I really I've never asked for this, but like if anyone's responsible for that, just take that stuff off. Come on, man, that's a really touching subject, and the fact that that's there in the first place, absolutely sickening. My opinion on it is I don't think there should be an opinion on it. I think that you should leave that stuff alone. I don't think you should show it like that. Curiosity is curiosity, but I don't think you should show it like that. I don't know. The next one is called the Human Leather Company, because the next stuff we want to talk about is buying human products on the deep and dark web. I don't mean like human essential products like toilet paper and hand sanitizer and like, you know, tweezers and whatnot, but I am talking about legitimate human products made from actual humans. This is actually freaky if you really think about it. This is very vague. When I mean it's very vague, I mean that like you can't really order it. You kind of have to message the person. There's no buy now button. You have to message the person and they give you their Bitcoin address. Human Leather Company. I want to read this to you. We are a specialized leather products company and we work to a very specific order book. In fact, we only craft a very limited number of pieces per year depending on our stock of raw material. We closed our order book a few years ago as our waiting list became too large for us. Oh, it's closed. We will soon, however, be opening our waiting list again to an exclusive clientele. Please keep your inboxes and your minds open. Drop us a line, info@humanleather.com. That's freaky over there because if you really think about it, where do they get the raw material from? Are they responsible for the raw material? Is it so many freaking questions? It's a very, very vague website. They only have a home section over here, absolutely nothing else, just an about us section. And apparently they used to be operating, but now they're not operating anymore because the waiting list became too large for them to be able to service all of our outstanding requests. Absolutely frightening, but apparently it does exist on the deep and dark web. This is one example of many examples. There is tons of places where you can go on the deep and dark web and buy, you can buy urns. I saw a place where you can buy people's urns for a really astonishing price actually, because these people really need money. So they're trying to sell it on the deep and dark web for a really astonishing amount. I think I saw one for like $1,400, which is, are you really gonna sell a loved one in a jar for $1,400? I don't know. I don't really know. Sickening, but it's a topic. So we gotta talk about it. The next thing, and I couldn't really find much of these on the deep and dark web, only on Excavator, and I wanted to let you guys know is I only limited my search to Excavator. I didn't really want to search too vastly. I didn't want it to make it look like I'm actually looking for these things. So I used Excavator and I typed in a whole bunch of like keywords on Excavator, and cannibalistic forums did not give me any results. There's a bunch of forums on here, and like for example, Gray Sec forums. I don't know what this is, but we're gonna go ahead and open it up. But it is rumored to have actual legitimate active cannibalistic forums on the deep and dark web that actually talk about this type of stuff. So look at this. What the hell? Graysec. I'm sorry, you are banned. You may not post, read threads, or access the forum. Please contact your forum administrator. I'm banned? Login/register. I'm banned? What did I do? I don't even know this website. Okay, hold up. Hold up, that's freaky. Okay, I'm just gonna exit. Graysec Forums is just a forums website that I can't access. Maybe it's still available, maybe it's just not. Maybe everybody's getting that message right now. Apparently, cannibalistic forums are things that happen on the deep and dark web. For people that don't know what cannibalism is, shame on you, because Danny Torrance from The Shining knows what cannibalism is. He's a kid, he's 5 years old in the movie. So shame on you. Cannibals are people that eat people, humans that eat humans. It's absolutely freaky, absolutely sickening. It makes me sick just thinking about it because, you know, a person eating another person has always like kind of made me cringe. Obviously, for obvious reasons, you know? It's kind of why Hannibal Lecter is one of the most creepiest characters in the world. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys are stuff that I'm not gonna show in this video for obvious reasons, because after I tell you guys what these things are, you're gonna know why I didn't show you guys these things in the video. But on the deep and dark web, this is the worst stuff that you're gonna be able to find. These are the 3 worst things that you're gonna be able to find in the deep and dark web. Number 1 is human experimentation. Human experimentation. Now, for example, people that are humans that are being experimented with. Plain and simple, absolutely frightening. Think about it. Think about somebody being used as a guinea pig for absolutely anything. These experiments can range from, like, there's a movie called Unfriended Dark Web where people get holes drilled into their head and they get stuff just put inside, right? You want to puke too, right? Experiments on live humans are conducted, and these videos are live streamed to people for entertainment purposes, and it shows people how they are cut and opened, etc., yada yada yada. I don't know if I like talking about it. I don't know if you guys like hearing it, but it is one of the worst things that's on the deep and dark web. One of 3 of the most worst things. The next one I want to talk to you guys about is number 2, animal abuse. And by the way, this is not in any specific order, 1, 2, or 3. These are all freaking bad. Animal abuse, it just shows a bunch of pictures, videos, and forums of people discussing, showing, talking about what they do to animals. And it's just making me cringe. It's making me, because I'm an animal lover, I love animals. I can't hurt a fly. If there's a fly in my house, I'll try my hardest to cup that baby and just open the door and let it out free outside. You know, I can't think of the thought of animals being hurt like this. And I'm not going to be showing any of these things, obviously, like I said, obvious reasons, but I'm not going to be even describing the actions that happen to these animals from these sick people. But there are sick people in this world that do these things to animals and record it and post it on the deep and dark web for other people's amusement and satisfaction, which is terrible. Which is absolutely terrible, and I hope they all burn in hell for it. And the last one I want to talk to you guys about, the worst one that is on this list, and kind of what the dark web is absolutely riddled with, is, I don't even want to say it, so it's this. The dark web is absolutely riddled with this, and it gets to a problem where, like, for example, you're just doing some random curious browsing on the deep and dark web. You'll type in, like, oh, camera, and then you'll press a link that says, like, oh, look, press link to get camera, and then it shows you something that you really don't want to see. Like, the dark web used to be a scary place, read into conspiracy theories and chat with people that, like, liked anonymity as well, but it's basically turned into just, like, a bunch of crappy links that open up a bunch of crappy websites, and it's on the deep and dark web, and it's there, and I think it should be taken down. I don't think it should be up. I don't even know if it can be taken down, because, like, you know, once one site's taken down, another one could come back up. That's how the deep web works, or that's how the dark web works. That's basically why it can't get shut down, because if one service gets shut down, then another one will just open. Basically, you have to take down the people that are responsible for this, not the service, not the website itself. You can't just take a website down and, like, give them a DDoS attack, because it's just as easy to copy the code and then put it onto another website and then rerun the service. The people need to be locked up for this that are responsible for this, because it's absolutely sickening. And again, like I said, a lot of the content on the deep and dark web is based off this stuff. Like, don't even get me wrong, there's a lot of fun times to go on the deep and dark web and do some actual browsing. Like, there's a website called Darknet Live that gives you, like, up-to-date, literal up-to-date news about the dark web, like all dark web news. And it's like when you read it, you kind of think like, oh wow, the dark web's really, really interesting, you know? Look at the names of these articles over here. This is really, really, really recent. All this stuff over here is really, really recent. I like, you know, if you guys want, you guys can go take a look into this stuff because it gives you a bigger like look into like what's going on in the deep web in May 2020 and so on. So Darknet Live, I wanted to give them a quick little shout out. And I also want to tell you guys that that's the end of this video over here. If you guys made it to the end of this video and you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and put on the notification bell. I do videos like this all the time. I do dark web videos all the time, and I'm gonna try to kind of change up the content a lot more because, like, you know, I've always been doing either this or I've been like reacting to 911 phone calls, or I've been doing dark web mystery boxes. We can't forget about that. But now it's like, you know, I've been kind of branching out to doing a lot of videos, like for example, buying a MacBook off the dark web. That's a fun video that I made, and one of my favorite videos that I made, it's called, buying sneakers off the dark web. That one's a really good video too. Like, you know, I bought something off the dark web. That's a new series that I'm kind of doing. It's not original at all, but it's fun to do on my end. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead and click the links in the description or press the cards that arrived earlier. Thank you guys so much if you made it this far. I'll see you in the future, and remember to stay off the dark web.